Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me today. My name is Brianna Poirier, and I'm currently completing my PhD at the Adelaide Dental School within the Australian Research Centre for Population Oral Health and the Indigenous Oral Health Unit, where my work focuses on qualitative experiences of mothers in South Australia establishing oral health practices for Indigenous children. My presentation today is titled, "I'd Feel Like a Failure, like I didn't do enough to protect them, Neoliberal Subjectivity in Indigenous Oral Health." The goal of my presentation is to give you some insight into how the globalization of economies has impacted not only health systems, but the ways in which individuals experience their personal health. Neoliberalism was established in the post-Cold War period as a set of dominating ideologies, practices, and policies that underpinned the globalization movement. Neoliberalism champions competitive private markets, deregulation in the name of freedom, personal autonomy, and individual responsibility for health. A decade after the initial rise of neoliberalism, health inequities became concerns on the global stage. The impact of neoliberalism on health inequities is widely acknowledged, with the 2008 report from the WHO Commission on Social Determinants of Health, called Closing the Gap in a Generation, identifying the need for the international community to eliminate the toxic combination of poor social policies and programs, unfair economic arrangements, and bad politics that result in health inequities globally. Literature suggests that neoliberalism might not only impact health through policies structuring social resources, but also through the more insidious ideological processes, such as internalization of neoliberal narratives that strongly shape experiences of personal behaviors, health, and use of social services. Oral health inequities aptly reflect social injustices due to the unique relation between material circumstances, access to health services, and structural inequities. In Australia, Indigenous children experience early childhood caries at alarmingly higher rates than non-Indigenous children. This research is an extension of a single-blind, parallel-arm, randomized control trial that aimed to identify factors related to the increased occurrence of dental caries in Indigenous children. The project had 4 components. 1, the provision of dental care to mothers during pregnancy. 2, the application of fluoride varnish to the teeth of children. 3, anticipatory guidance. And 4, motivational interviewing. The findings presented here are derived from the motivational interviewing element of the project. The objective of this qualitative analysis was to generate an understanding of how neoliberal subjectivity exists for Indigenous peoples in the context of oral health in Australia. So, through the utilization of Braun and Clark's reflexive thematic analysis and the utilization of in vivo software, we identified the following 5 overarching themes expressed by participants when discussing their oral health: shame, judgment, ownership, embarrassment, and guilt. Specific themes within each category relate to physical appearance, accessing oral health services, and desires or worries for children's oral health in the future. An example of this is parental shame about teeth motivating strong oral health practices for children. Our findings are similar to qualitative exploration of neoliberal subjectivity in other areas, such as the experiences of debt and social comparison among women. However, this is the first analysis with an Indigenous population regarding oral health. A surprising finding from our research was the frequency of comparison to other parents and the readiness to judge and identify others' parenting as wrong, often more frequently than identifying inconsistencies with one's own parenting habits. Traditional ideas of barriers and facilitators to health sometimes identify intrinsic motivations, but rarely are internal feelings related back to the political economy and current normalized health discourse, especially with regards to personal responsibility for health. The impacts of failing this socially accepted responsibility can create even deeper barriers to accessing already inaccessible care, as seen with our population. Further exploration that centralizes neoliberal impacts is needed to fully understand previously accepted barriers. For example, fear of dentists is a commonly accepted barrier to accessing oral health care. However, deeper exploration of this notion in our project highlighted a fear of disappointment and attempts to avoid embarrassment. As supported by the findings in our research, we argue that neoliberalism as a function of modern health systems is an extension of colonization, benefiting the privileged and further oppressing the disadvantaged. In closing, the history of neoliberalism and globalization is rooted in academic institutions, and therefore, as academics and a crucial part of this system, we are ethically compelled to challenge the inequity of power and health in our society and help navigate a way forward. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and if you have any questions about the work we are doing, please do not hesitate to reach out.